Hello there, and welcome back to our channel. Now, I just have to tell you what has been weighing so incredibly heavy on my heart lately regarding our beloved General Hospital. I have been watching these characters go through the absolute ringer over the years, and Lord have mercy, the situation unfolding with Jason Morgan and Britt Westbourne is fixing to break my heart into a million little pieces. You know, I have always had a real soft spot for Britt. She has been through so much turmoil in her life, but this latest mess she has found herself tangled up in is like a runaway freight train heading straight for a washed-out bridge, and it is entirely of her own making. The dark secrets she has been keeping are about to come to the light, and we all know that in a town like Port Charles, secrets never, ever stay buried forever. They always claw their way out, usually at the worst possible time, causing maximum emotional destruction. I want to sit down and really talk about this whole absolute nightmare with Cassius Faison parading around as Nathan West. Just the very thought of it gives me the shivers down my spine. Nathan was such a genuinely good, decent man, and to have Cassius steal his face, his identity, and his entire life is just as wrong as two left shoes. Britt knew all about this wicked deception. She knew this man was an imposter, a dangerous wolf dressed up in sheep's clothing, and she actively chose to bite her tongue and look the other way. Now, I try my very best not to judge folks because heaven knows we all make our fair share of mistakes in this life, but hiding something this massive and destructive, that is a terribly tough pill to swallow. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about a person's character and their moral compass when the chips are truly down and folks need to be honest. Britt had the absolute perfect opportunity to come clean when she finally opened up her heart to Jason about Jen Sidwell, Ross Cullum, and that awful shady project she was forcefully coerced into participating in. She laid so much of her soul bare that particular day, and I sat there watching from my living room, just begging my television screen for her to tell him the whole unvarnished truth. I kept thinking, just say it, honey. Just let it all out so you can finally be free of this heavy burden. But she held back the biggest, most dangerous secret of all, and that omission is going to cost her dearly. By keeping her lips tightly sealed about Cassius, Britt unwittingly opened the front door to a whole heap of danger for Jocelyn Jacks and Carly Spencer. Now, you and I both know that Jason Morgan is a man who fiercely protects his own. Carly and Jocelyn are like family to him, practically his own flesh and blood, and he would walk through a blazing fire for them without a second thought. When Jason eventually finds out that Britt's silence put those two women directly in the crosshairs of danger, his icy blue eyes are going to turn as cold as a bitter winter blizzard. Jason can forgive a whole lot of things in this world, but putting Carly and Jocelyn at risk is crossing a deep line drawn firmly in the sand. It is exactly like poking a sleeping bear with a very short stick. Britt should have known deep down in her bones that hiding a threat that could potentially hurt Jason's loved ones would eventually blow up right in her face. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of who Jason is at his core, and it is going to shatter the trust they have been trying so desperately to build between them over these past few trying months. And let us just take a long, hard look at what Cassius has been up to while Britt was keeping his terrible, dark secret. He did not just sit quietly in the corner and keep to himself. Oh no, he made himself right at home in the middle of Port Charles. He got way too close to sweet little James West, playing the role of a loving, doting family man when he had absolutely no right to be anywhere near that precious, innocent child. As a mother and a grandmother, watching him hover around little James just makes my stomach turn in knots, knowing the evil that lurks beneath his handsome disguise. But I am telling you, it gets even worse than that, honey. Cassius actually went and got himself into bed with Lulu Spencer. It is just absolutely heartbreaking to think about Lulu being deceived in such an intimate, profound, and violating way. She genuinely thought she was finding comfort and a real connection, but she was entirely tangled up in a sticky web of lies spun by a very dangerous, manipulative man. It makes you just want to weep for her, knowing how much pain and trauma this revelation is going to cause her when she finally realizes who she was truly lying next to in the dark. If all that was not enough to make you completely dizzy, Cassius even had the sheer audacity to play detective down at the local police department. He walked those halls at the PCPD, wearing a badge he absolutely did not earn, pretending to uphold the law while he was secretly breaking every single moral rule in the good book. It is an absolute insult to every hardworking officer in that town who puts their life on the line every day. He was playing a twisted game of dress-up, using the police force as his own personal playground while Britt sat back and allowed it all to happen in absolute silence. Now, I will always try to give credit where credit is due because life is rarely completely black and white and folks are complicated creatures. Cassius did step up and help cover up Rocco Falconeri's involvement in the shooting of Ross Cullum out there on the pier. He protected that young boy from a world of serious legal trouble, and I know we all breathed a heavy sigh of relief for Rocco in that terrifying moment. Nobody wants to see a child's life ruined over a tragic mistake, and Cassius did manage to sweep that terrible incident right under the rug for the boy's sake. But let me tell you, doing one single good deed does not wash away a giant mountain of sins. It certainly does not excuse the glaring fact that Britt let this imposter run completely wild through the town, manipulating and hurting everyone in his destructive path. A single act of kindness toward Rocco does not erase the violation of Lulu, the danger brought to Carly and Jocelyn, or the absolute mockery he made of Nathan West's honorable memory. Britt's complicity in all of this is a heavy stain that is going to be incredibly difficult for anyone to simply overlook or forgive. The absolute saddest part of this whole tragic, messy tale is the underlying reason why Britt kept quiet in the first place. My heart just aches with real sorrow when I think about her motivation. She was utterly terrified, plain and simple. She honestly believed she was suffering from Huntington's disease, a terrible, cruel, and unforgiving illness that nobody should ever have to face in their lifetime. She was brutally blackmailed into silence, promised the specific medication she desperately needed to save her own life and keep her mind intact for just a little while longer. Who among us would not be sorely tempted to make a dark deal with the devil if we truly thought it would keep us alive? But the cruelest twist of fate, the real heartbreaking kicker in all of this, is that the medicine she was given was nothing but a simple saline solution. She never even had Huntington's disease to begin with. She sold her soul, compromised her deep morals, and risked her entire relationship with Jason, all for a fake cure to a sickness she did not even have. It is a devastating tragedy that makes you want to reach through the screen and just hold her while she cries. Now, the undeniable truth is coming, and it is not going to come from Britt's own lips, which makes the whole situation 1,000 times worse. You know exactly how it is when you hear bad news from a third party. It just stings so much more because you feel foolish for not knowing, and the betrayal cuts so much deeper. We are looking toward the end of the month, specifically around July 30th, when Jason is set to reunite with Anna Devane. Anna has been under an immense, crushing amount of pressure lately, dealing with her own set of impossible burdens and dark shadows. Anna is constantly being pushed, prodded, and tormented by that wretched Peter August. Peter has been whispering pure poison in Anna's ear for ages, demanding that she seek harsh revenge on Britt for past grievances. Because of this relentless, cruel pressure, Anna is bound to finally spill the beans to Jason. She is going to lay it all out on the table, telling Jason exactly how Britt has been deeply tied up with Cassius this entire time. I can just vividly picture the look of sheer disbelief and profound betrayal washing over Jason's handsome face as he hears the words fall from Anna's lips. When Jason finally confronts Britt, after hearing this news, and we all know that explosive confrontation is coming, sure as the sun rises in the east, it is going to be a heavy, incredibly painful conversation. Jason is not a man who yells and screams. His anger is quiet, incredibly still, and deeply unsettling to witness. He is going to look at her, really look deep into her eyes, and ask her why she did it. Why did she not trust him enough to tell him the truth? Why did she let a dangerous imposter endanger the very people he loves most in this world while she stood by and said absolutely nothing? Britt is going to have to stand there trembling and confess that she knew the man pretending to be Nathan was a total fraud from the very beginning. She is going to have to try and explain about the fake Huntington's medication and the desperate, blinding fear that drove her to make such terrible, regrettable choices. It is going to be a raw, highly emotional moment that will severely test the very foundation of everything they have carefully built together. She is going to have to admit that she was played for a fool, trading her integrity for a simple bag of salt water. I honestly do not know how their romantic relationship is going to survive this massive, earth-shattering blow. Trust is a very fragile thing, much like a beautiful, delicate, antique teacup. Once it is shattered into pieces, you can try your hardest to glue it back together, but it will never hold water quite the same way again. Jason has always valued fierce loyalty and absolute honesty above all else in his life. For him, Britt's ongoing deception is not just a little white lie. It is a fundamental, heartbreaking betrayal of their partnership and the bond they shared. As someone who watches these characters grow, stumble, and struggle every single day, I am sitting on the edge of my seat just waiting to see how this all unfolds. Will Jason be able to look past the lies and see the terrified, vulnerable woman who just wanted to live? Will Britt be able to forgive herself for the pain she has caused, especially now that she knows her ultimate sacrifice was for absolutely nothing? It is a heavy, heavy burden to bear. We will just have to keep watching, hoping that somehow, through all the bitter tears and the deep heartbreak, they can find a way to heal. But right now, the storm clouds are gathering fast, and I am telling you, it is going to be a terribly bumpy ride for our dear Jason and Britt.